Happy Tuesday, everybody. We are here. What is up? We're back for football season, and it's in full effect. Thursday night, we got the Bears versus Packers, and everybody's getting their tickets ready, their fantasy leagues ready, and everybody's getting their uniforms out for this year to cheer for their squads. Welcome to Zone Talk Sports, the afternoon, morning edition, depending on where you are across the world. We have a few things we're going to talk about today, a few updates today, as we will keep you updated every morning on NFL news, as well as other sports news as well. If you missed and you enjoy wrestling, we had a wrestling podcast last night for Monday Night Raw. Join us again tonight after SmackDown, Tuesday Night SmackDown. We'll be also doing another podcast. But today, we're going to be getting into a little bit of football here and there, and as most people know, football has been hectic the last few days. Seattle, Houston, Miami has been in the trade moves. A lot of players have been moving around and been traded. But the biggest news of the day, which matters for me the most, okay, ladies and gentlemen, the biggest one of all, which involved La'el Collins. Most people know the big news in Dallas is signing the triplets between Cooper, Zeke, and Dak Prescott. Well, Jerry is making sure he cleans slate and gets the bad boys that help make that team is what it is signed up, and I'm glad he's doing it. Next, I hope he does Byron Jones as well. But now after Jalen Smith's done, now we have La'el Collins, who was signed to a 5-year contract, and I believe his contract is one of the top 5 right tackles in the league. So I'm happy for that. Also, the rumor was Zeke has flown into Dallas as well to sign a contract that's most likely happening today. So I won't be expecting Zeke to play this week, possibly next week as well. But Zeke will be back in uniform sooner than later. Jerry is getting things together there in Dallas. I'm glad. As many of you don't know, new listeners, I'm a Cowboys fan, so I'm always going to be extra with the Cowboys, okay? And we're even going to have Cowboy events and Cowboy game days over here. But yes, Dallas is getting their shit together, and we have La'el Collins signed to a 5-year contract. And Dallas making him one of the top 5 right tackles high paid in the NFL. Now, also, as I said, they said Zeke flew back to Dallas, which is breaking news right now to a lot of folks. It's known he was in Cabo working out over the summer. And for most folks that are worried about Ezekiel Elliott being out of shape, there's been reports that he's been working with Marshall Faulk over in Cabo. And Marshall Faulk reported back to the peoples and said, I tried to make Zeke throw up, and it wasn't happening. So Zeke is in shape. Now, we know he needs to get in game shape as far as like getting hit and getting the, well, I'm sure the plays are, he already got that. But we'll be seeing Zeke in action very, very, very soon. Also, we also had a coach, the coach of look, I'm still used to calling them the San Diego Chargers. The Los Angeles Clippers. See, look, it's still the, see how I flipped it? The Los Angeles Chargers. Anthony Lynn said he's not speaking on Melvin Gordon anymore. In the situation with Melvin Gordon, they also said that Melvin Gordon has the right to seek trades as well. So looks like the Chargers are moving on from Melvin Gordon's situation. They have 2 running backs, which showed signs of being replaceable for Melvin Gordon between Austin Eckler and the Justin Jackson. I believe it's Justin Jackson. Excuse me. And so I believe the Chargers will be okay. Melvin Gordon's asking for a little bit too much. The asking price of run. It's one of those double-edged swords. The league isn't paying running backs a lot of money, but at the end of the day, can you blame a running back who's being used 300 times a year to run for 5 straight years, 5 to 6 straight years? They put their body through hell, and then they don't get paid for it. Well, you get kickers kicking till they 40. Other positions, Tom Brady is 40. So it's one of those things where you kind of can't blame the kickers, but you kind of can't blame the owners too, because that's the market. It's just one of those things. But Melvin Gordon looks like not to be playing. At some point, he's going to have. I don't know what the contract situation, if he has to show up at some point to make money, to earn this year's salary. But it's not looking good in Los Angeles as far as the Melvin Gordon situation. Also, in other news, we have Shady McCoy is back with his former coach, Andy Reid. LaShawn McCoy was cut by the Buffalo Bills this past weekend after the 53-man roster. Surprisingly, he was cut, but not really if you look at it. They had the young guy Singletary, Yeldon, and excuse me if I'm forgetting the other name off the top of my head. I'm freestyling this, not notes, okay? But they released LaShawn McCoy, who then signed with the Kansas City Chiefs. They have not backup, starting running back Damian Williams, and I believe he's a rookie or second-year running back as well. So they have a 3-man running back squad there in KC to try to make that offense more potent. We'll see if Shady has lost any of his spunk, or we'll see if Shady still got game. If anyone knows how to use Shady, it is Andy. That's for sure. He'll be able to get Andy in the open with, I believe, with Pat Mahomes, the way how he plays with Shady. Shady could be a sleeper in fantasy this year. To be honest, a sleeper, depending on health, because of the spread game that Kansas City presents, with Shady being able to run east and west with Pat Mahomes and being able to catch the ball as well. So just keep your eye open. Mark your star on LaShawn McCoy if you don't have him in your fantasy team this year. Just keep an eye out. He could be one of those the older guys that have a breakout year. Also, we have the Kiko Alonso, Kenny Stills went to the Saints. No, am I correct? No, the Texans. Excuse me for that. They went to the Texans as Laramie Tunzo as well. And the Texans have tried to rebuild since trading Jadeveon Clowney. The NFL isn't built to where you have to overpay 2 pass rushers. They had J.J. Watt, and in my opinion, I know they're paying J.J. Watt a lot of money. It might have been hard to move J.J. Watt because of injuries and age of J.J. Watt. But in my opinion, I think they should have tried to move J.J. Watt. J.J. Watt isn't as dominant as he used to be. I would have tried to move J.J. before I moved the younger Jadeveon. But, hey, it happened. Seattle now has a guy up front now that can help push to get at the quarterback. So Seattle's a little bit more dangerous. As far as fantasy goes, this isn't much besides Kenny Stills moving to the Texans. And I really, really, really don't see Kenny Stills getting more. Well, you have, what is the wide out there in Hopkins, excuse me. You have Hopkins. You have Will Fuller. If Fuller's healthy, we already know we've seen Will Fuller score crazy touchdowns when he's healthy. So Stills will be a third or fourth wide receiver there, but he's still good, not a fantasy option, but a good weapon down the field for Watson to throw down the field. Tunzel was a good pickup to keep him up. They needed a dominant tackle, which is a key for every quarterback to stay up. They have an offensive line first. That's why if you look at the top teams in the league, New England, they always have what? A offensive line. You cannot beat those guys. The game is won up front. The game is won up front. Point blank, period. And give me a sec to check here. We got that to the way. So yeah, now we'll get into other news since I got the top 5 topics news I want to get off. We'll go through other things that's been going on in the NFL. Minnesota Vikings signed former first-round pick from the Washington Redskins, John Doxson, who was cut this past weekend, who's been a flop for the Redskins. I don't know if it's a product of just him being a flop or a product of the Redskins as a whole just being a flop. We'll see if Kirk Cousins can get him in order. Jay Gruden announced that the offense was going to be ran through the running back Geis. So there's some fantasy options right there. I believe Geis is still available in a lot of fantasy leagues. Jacoby Brissett of the Indianapolis Colts, after Andrew Luck retired, Jacoby Brissett was offered a 2-year, $30 million contract in which he signed to become the Indianapolis Colts starting quarterback. So that's good for the brother to get that job. Dallas Cowboys wide receiver Amari Cooper is healthy and back working out at practice. He'll be ready for Week 1's game. Y'all stay tuned to have him in your lineups. I expect Cooper to ball out versus the Giants' weak secondary. Also, the Pats' rookie wide receiver N'Keal Harris was placed on injury reserve, sadly. And they re-signed former star wideout receiver Demaryius Thomas. So Demaryius Thomas is back in New England. I don't think that makes major news as far as fantasy production goes, but it is news, right? And we said we were going to give you just that, okay? So that wraps up our football angle for this morning, ladies and gentlemen. And what we will give you a little treat while we are at it, we will wrap up the FIBA basketball scores from last night. You had Italy defeat Angola 92-61. I caught a little bit of Senegal and Australia late last night. You had Venezuela over Ivory Coast 87-71. You had Argentina beat Nigeria 94-81. Tunisia beat Iran 79-67. Serbia crushed the Philippines 126-67. Then you had Poland 79-76 over China. I guess the Polish are playing basketball. You had Russia over Korea 87-73. Spain over Puerto Rico 73-63. Then you had, and that wraps it up as far as the FIBA basketball from last night's scores. To everybody that is new to this channel and check this channel out, if you enjoyed it, do me a favor to help this channel grow. Hit that share button, tell a friend, and join the chat room and conversate. You can ask questions. I'll answer questions. I have no problem. And there is a Discord link for you to join Zone Talk Sports to have conversations in the Discord. And you can ask me questions or things you may want to talk about or see in future shows. And don't forget, we will be doing WWE SmackDown review tonight after SmackDown goes off air. So if you're a wrestling fan or you have wrestling friends that enjoy stuff like that, send them over. Make sure you hit that subscribe button as well. As well, Friday nights we will be back to Friday Night Podcast, which is a podcast where I just come and freestyle and just talk about any and everything around the world and in life. So make sure you're subscribed to the Friday Night Podcast channel over there. You can check the community section over where you see where my channels are listed, as well as the gaming channel, which I'm sure at some point will be live today as well. We're always over there. And thank you guys for joining today's show. I enjoyed today's show with you guys. And we will be back for another show tomorrow, ladies and gentlemen. We will be back to give you more NFL news, and if we have other sports news, we will be back, as well as giving you updates if there's breaking news throughout the day. So make sure you're subscribed. Make sure you hit that bell notification, and we will see you next time, ladies and gentlemen. Peace, love, and zone out. Thank you.